right during the period of time when President Trump announced his idea during that press conference with Netanyahu about, look, we're gonna own, the U.S. is going to own Gaza.
Did you see the look on Netanyahu's face when he was saying that?
Yes, which was priceless.
Like, what in the...
I know.
And did I get into?
And now you know what they're all doing? The Israeli cabinet is fully on board with the idea, in part because I think they understand that, okay, look, this is probably not going to happen, but if we take this position, right, it's going to create chaos. It's going to create some movement, right? Maybe that leads to something of interest. And I think when being out in the Middle East when that idea came out and hearing some of the responses from people out there was amazing. But what I like about it, look, you're not going to move 2.3 million Palestinians out of Gaza, right? Because none of the Arab states want them. The Egyptians have fought against this idea for years and years and years.
That's a good point, and some that maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, is that the wall on the side of Egypt is way bigger than the wall on the side of Israel.
Yeah.
That is an impenetrable wall that's heavily guarded. They do not want Palestinians coming into Egypt, which is kind of crazy. Well,
from their perspective, look, it's a security issue. And there's a lot of Palestinian refugees in Jordan, so it's not like Jordan hasn't tried to do their part. But they also, what are they going to do? Absorb another 1 million, 2 million Palestinians? No. So the problem from an operational perspective is it's unlikely to happen, right? And also, do you really want the U.S. buying and owning Gaza, right? And then being out there, you think that the cost of supporting Ukraine is high. Wait till you see what the cost of not only the reconstruction, but the security of the reconstruction, right? What that's going to mean. You think there was a boon in private security contractors during the Iraq incursions? This will make that look like nothing.
Right. So they got to guard their investments.
Exactly. So the costs involved, the potential for just never-ending trouble. But what I do like about it is, look, now the Arab states are responding by having a summit. Right? They're having a summit at the end of this month, and they've been having little mini discussions amongst themselves. But all the key players in the area are now meeting to discuss what's an alternative, right? What is the way to make this happen? And it's not going to be by the U.S. owning it and building the Riviera, right, or a series of casinos. But the Arab states are having to react, and so what that means is nothing's worked beforehand, right? Nothing in terms of the two-state option, other security agreements, peace agreements that have held for some period of time and then fallen apart. None of that shit's worked. So I think the sort of the disruptive aspect of sometimes of what Trump does, even though you may look at the idea on the surface and go, it's not going to work, you have these other effects, right? And so now you've got the Arab states having to respond, coming up with these ideas. They're already, over the past couple of days, saying, well, Hamas can't play a role. If you had said that a year ago, Egypt and Qatar and some of these other Arab states out there would have gotten on board with the idea that Hamas has got to go, that wouldn't have happened, right? I mean, before the 7 October attacks.
Right. They're also talking about rebuilding it themselves. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, we'll do it. We'll do it. Just back off. Yeah. We'll do it. We'll take care of it.
Which is great.
And that's when they have to say Hamas can't be a part of it.
Right. That's because they know what the problem is. And they haven't been willing to admit it before, but because the Trump administration just thrown stuff at the wall, right, to see what sticks, they've got to respond. And so now they're coming up with these ideas. Look, Hamas, they are a shell of what they were, right? But they're still supported by the Iranian regime, which is a big problem, right? And the Iranian regime, do you think they don't want peace? They don't want stability, right? That's not in the books. One of the benefits from their perspective of the 7 October attacks was that it completely scuttled the normalization talks that were going on between Saudi and Israel and the U.S. at the time. So, they're going to continue to be a problem. But Hamas, is now kind of on its back foot. The Palestinian Authority is saying, well, we'll come in and we'll govern Gaza. Well, the Israelis are saying, no, that's not going to happen either because you guys are, peas in a pod, right? And Palestinian Authority has a program where they actually pay the families of people who kill Israelis, right? It's called the pay to slay program.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what it's called?
Yep. Pay to slay.
How much do you get paid?
You know what? I'm not sure what the going rate is now, but for out there, it's it's a payment, ongoing payments to families who have family members who have attacked, wounded, or killed Israelis. And so, that plus, other ties between Hamas and the PA. And look, there's been animosity, obviously. Hamas drove the Palestinian Authority out of Gaza years ago. But, the Israelis see it as the same. And so, my point being is the Arab states are now reacting, and you could end up with something that actually works as opposed to all the bullshit in the past that never did work and always it continued to provide nothing for the Palestinian people. And if you say, look, all this is about is we want the Palestinians to live a better life, then you should want new ideas thrown at the wall, right? And you should want something that eventually is going to work. And from a U.S. perspective, you should want something where the Arab states actually take it on board themselves.
There's also a problem with the reality of the region at this point, right? It's like, what do you want to happen to that area? Because someone has to rebuild it. Look, absolutely, Israel shouldn't have done what they did and kill who knows how many innocent people and literally destroy most of the buildings there. We all can agree that's a horrible thing, but it's done. Mm-hmm. So now what?
Yeah, and we can also agree that it was not. Look, yeah, I agree. It was a very aggressive action. I would argue that the U.S. would engage in that same aggressive action if we had a proportionate, attack
from Mexico. Or something like that.
Yeah. So, or Canada,
right?
Goddamn Canadians, they're plotting something. I just know it. So if so that's true. But again, it was a war that Hamas started. Right? I think you have to go back to the beginning of this one. And yes, there's fault on both sides, of course. But, Hamas now at times has been acting like the aggrieved party. Right?
It's go around and find out in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, they gave Israel the green light to just go ham. And now when you see the overhead drone footage of what Gaza looks like now, it's hard to even believe that it's real. Everything's gone.
Yeah, which I get it. I mean, from a real estate developer's perspective, I'm sure he's seen overhead imagery.
Gonna turn it into the Mediterranean of the Middle East.
This looks like a demolition site. So let's clear it out.
The real question is, if that doesn't, then what? If you don't want that to happen, then what? If the United States doesn't take it over, or who should, and what do you do with it? And how do you get the money to rebuild it? And where does it come from? And how do you do it? Who